the signal chat is, but the networks that support it are over 10 years old and in some cases longer. And that's why I think small business knew what they had to do, because people would come with questions if they didn't.
That's my litmus test of whether I walk through the front door in Minneapolis. If you don't have the everybody's welcome but I sign, I'll go to the next business. But I just want to shout out one business specifically, Smitten Kitten. It was the first one that I went
Right.
into. There's plenty of them here. I can name 10 off the top of my head that are doing a lot of mutual aid. But Smitten Kitten was the first one I found. And what blew me away was they're a sex shop, by the way. And you walk in and it's a shop. They sell things, but they couldn't do business because they had diapers and food and other supplies from the floor to the ceiling. There was a line of people waiting to just hand out donations because they're also, by the way, in contact with people that can't pay their rent because they can't go to work, because if you leave your house, ICE will snatch you up. Right. And then they had volunteers out front of their store guarding the store because, by the way, ICE was harassing their mutual fund operation. I mean, if we're talking about immigration enforcement, what part of immigration enforcement is assigning some of your agents to go harass mutual aid sites and small businesses? So, there's a lot of them doing it. Hola Arepa, Rectangle Pizza. I mean, the list is very long of businesses that are doing this. And I beg everybody who's not in Minneapolis to get online and find out what those businesses are and please support them.
And I would just like to shout out Powwow Grounds in Minneapolis. They have been that like genuinely like it's wild. They are kind of a hub coordinating a lot of ICE observation patrols. They are gathering material goods like blankets, because it's cold out here, guys. For folks in the community who need them, like folks who are really, because again, a lot of business has slowed in the Twin Cities area as a result of this occupation, and like people are afraid to go to work, and so like some of these things that seem like basic necessities are really required for people out there. And I just also want to note, like, Powwow Grounds, it's indigenous, and like the indigenous community here in Minneapolis has especially been targeted by ICE as well. Like they're it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. If they think you look different or talk different, they're gonna harass you at best, and at worst disappear you. It is really difficult to put into words, like the aura of terror that they have unleashed on this city, and the solidarity is the thing keeping it at bay right now. We're keeping us safe, but it'd be great if we had some help.
IndigenousProtectorMovement.org. Go there.
I would shout out Ben, large white man who works at Rectangle. When in 2020 in June, when we were at an anti-protest, which I would not recommend anybody to go to before getting informed on it. I remember Nerdy Matt was at the counter protest, and he made an announcement on the megaphone. He said, "White folks, I need you to be a shield and not a sword right now, because provoking these people are just going to bring violence to the brown and black folks that are out at the protest here." And many times, I mean, in this fight, like Sean mentioned, back to Jamar Clark getting murdered by the Minneapolis Police Department, what was needed in many times was for white folks to, be a shield or get involved at all. And when it seemingly doesn't affect you. Remember when Justine DeMond was murdered by the police, that everybody pulled up, and all of Southwest Minneapolis did. But Ben put himself between, the place that he's employed at and an ICE officer. And scared the shit out of him too, rightfully. The guy reached for like imaginary things on his chest. He didn't even know what to do about it. So there's certain people that are pulling up and doing the things that need to be done. And also a litmus test to piggyback on what Jolly said. If an elected official says we just need to train them better, you can't train the racism out of these people. You can't train the fascism out of them. The training is not the issue. So when Cory Booker or Jake Fry, boy mayor of Minneapolis, says that, it's just mind-numbing, because it's like, Do you not see the public executions in the street? You can't train that out of those people. So just to add that in.
Yeah. Um, I think one thing that strikes me is I think there's really interesting conversation that has to have around race and around what ICE is. But there's a really interesting thing. You guys are describing this there's a class conversation here, right? You've got small, probably middle and working class and lower class people all donating, all helping each other, serving each other foods, where you've got Fortune 500 companies. It sounds like basically not engaging. They don't want to probably affect their bottom line, and they understand that some of their bottom line is voted for this insanity. It's quite an interesting conversation of, again, the people on the ground, the people the most affected by wealth disparity, most affected by ICE agents, are also the people banding together and supporting one another. Do you guys have any thoughts kind of about this lens?
There are certain communities that are coming together for that, like St. Anthony Park and St. Paul, high property value. There are some places in Southwest Minneapolis. And I think a lot of people, it's uncomfortable for them to talk about that because a lot of the redlining and racial covenants are the reason why some of these white communities can exist in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And now that they're seeing themselves in Renee Good and Alex Preddy, they're chipping in. And I forget the psychological word for it, but there are some communities that are actually chipping in as before in 2020, and I'm sure Sean can speak to this or Jack, but there were certain communities that were like entirely in 2020 that was like, hey, I'm Paul and this is between y'all. And it was like, really? I'm pretty sure they're coming for you next. Like now that they have checkpoints off of like highways and whatnot, there are certain communities that are chipping in.
Awesome. Tim, I noticed you popped in.
Yeah, I think this has gone by incredibly fast, and I just want to thank you all. And it's in particular, I am not from Minnesota, and it's been very, very fascinating to hear from all of you talk about what you need on the ground, and I really appreciate it. And I know I've learned a lot about this, so thank you all for joining, and keep doing the work you're doing. And also, people who are watching, please donate to these groups on the QR code below, because this is Jolly. Do you have something on your tattoo? Is you showing us on your tattoo something? What does it say?
Shout out to Uptown. It says Chinga Migra. Shout out to Uptown Tattoo.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And it's so great to hear about all the local businesses doing great stuff. So thank you all for doing this. Keep doing your great work, and we've got your back 100%. So thank you for all of this.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So this is a perfect segue into our next guest, who I think pretty much everybody on here will probably know. He has been a mayor of Newark, and he has been a United States senator for several years now. So I think he's coming up right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Senator Cory Booker with us tonight. Senator, are you here? We're not here yet. Okay, I'm going to riff while we figure out. Oh, maybe this is it now. Senator, can we hear you? Are you there?
I hope you could hear me.
I could hear you. I can't see you. I don't know if we're just doing audio, but
Nope. Then I was told. Tell me if that works.
there you go. There you
Okay.
go. We can see you.
Okay.
All right. Well, Senator, it's great to have you. Thank you for joining us tonight. I don't know how much you heard about the previous panel, but we had a lot of people that have been doing the work on the ground in Minneapolis. And one of the questions that they have for you and for everybody on the Democratic side in the United States Senate is, what can you do to help them, and how can we get ICE out of our communities?
Well, look, I want to be very candid with you. We are a nation that comes from a history of protest. Change does not come from Washington. It never has. It never will. We didn't get civil rights in America because one day Strom Thurmond came to the Senate floor and said, "I've seen the light. Let those Negro people have the right to vote." We didn't get suffrage because one day a bunch of men on the Senate floor said, "Hey, fellas, everybody bring it in, suffrage on 3." Every single step of American progress has had to overcome often challenges from some government entity, whether it was George Wallace and state governments, or even, as I know from here we are during a Black History Month, whether it was the federal government itself. I love what Frederick Douglass says: find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue until they are resisted And that's where we are right now. Our country was founded not by the statesmen that dominated, but it was founded by people who were willing to stand up against the unjust imposition of power from elites, from wealthy, from people that were willing to suppress freedoms and rights. Remember, even our Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, didn't come from the framers. That came from people that were demanding things like the right to petition government, the right to assemble, freedom of speech. So I'm where I am, and when I got to Washington, I was the only black guy in the Democratic caucus, and looked around at a place that never imagined me. I was the fourth black person ever elected to the United States Senate, and I never forget that I didn't get there because of the action of senators. I got there because of the actions of people like I watched today in your state. So I'm one of those Democrats right now that's upset. There are conversations going on about, frankly, accountability measures that on bills I've carried since George Floyd. Things that are obvious, from body cameras to not letting masked agents run. But I will tell you this right now: when you have an agency invading our communities that is lawless itself, which violates laws, violates our Constitution, violates our rights to privacy, violates our civil rights, violates our lives, kills people, passing more accountability measures is something I will always fight for, but it's not meeting this moment. It's not going to stop the injustices that Donald Trump is continuing to impose into our communities, and not because he's going after violent criminals. He's made it clear he's doing this to try to strip away rights, including voting rights, as he has said through Pam Bondi. If you give me your voter rolls, violate the Constitution, give me this private information of your citizenry, then maybe I'll back off. And now I hear from the new person they put in charge, they may change the head, but the activities going on the ground have not changed. And what is he saying? As soon as I think my officers are safe. Safe from what? From nonviolent citizens exercising their rights? So I'm telling you right now, I'm sorry. But look to your left, look to your right, look to the people standing up with you. That's where your hope is going to come from. That's where your strength is going to come from. That's how we built this democracy. That's how we advanced this nation over injustice after injustice after injustice. That's what they did at Stonewall. That's what they did at Seneca Falls. That's what they did in Selma. And so, yes, yet again, the battle lines have been drawn. And this time they're not drawn through Georgia. They're not drawn through New Jersey. You all are on the front lines of this fight right now. And you're not just fighting for yourselves, you're fighting for my citizens in Morristown, New Jersey, who had ICE raids and arrested a high school student, violated our most sacred areas, schools and churches. You're fighting for people in California. People seem to have forgotten that they're battling there, people being pulled over because of the color of their skin, people being deported. You're fighting for people in red states and blue states. You all at the center right now, and no senator is coming to save you. SOS, we've got to save ourselves. And so I am a firm believer that the power of the people is greater than the people in power. I'm a firm believer that in the democracy, the governed have to give their consent. I believe that we are a nation that ultimately will be determined by the grit and the guts of the people who are standing up. And in every generation, there have been demagogues. In every generation, there have been hate mongers. In every generation, there's been people in power trying to take away the rights of the people. And in every generation, we have overcome. So this is our moment. Donald Trump is not the hero of this story. Donald Trump is not the main character. We are. We are. I will give everything I can fighting in the Senate. I will go to extremes. I may not go without going to the bathroom for 25 hours again, but I will. I will fight in every way possible, not just to pass accountability measures, but to take a system that is being imposed upon us, a reckless, violent, law-breaking organization, and end them from doing this kind of injustice in our community. Stop them from doing the things that are hurting, harming, making our streets less dangerous, injuring people, and ultimately, as we've seen, taking lives. I'll do everything I can, but I'm going to tell you right now, no senator or congressperson you hear from is enough. What is enough is the people themselves saying, like Fannie Lou Hamer, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's people who are saying, I've had enough of this. Martin Luther King said it clear. What we have to repent for ultimately is not just the vitriolic words and violent actions of the bad people, but the appalling silence and inaction of the good people. You all have to be the catalytic agents that ignite the consciousness of this country, that expand the moral imagination of the nation, and ultimately help us to overcome this challenge. This is not going to be an easy fight. It is not going to be given to us. I promise you that if we stand strong and stand together, if we are perseverant, as we persevere, that we can win. I am inspired. I'm a living product, as all of you are. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams who faced dark moments in dark times, and they stuck together, stood up, and overcame. Never from Washington, always to Washington. And today is one of those nights. I just want to say to you, thank you. You're inspiring more backbone and more people than you realize, and inspiring more of us to continue the fights. My front is in New Jersey, but we're all in this together. We're all fighting in the same trench, and we cannot stop until freedom is reaffirmed and victory is won.
Right. Well, Senator Booker, thank you very much for your time tonight. And we know your time is precious. So we appreciate you coming on and showing support, like everybody has been across the country, for everybody doing the amazing work on the ground in Minneapolis. So, Senator, thank you very much for your time. And, we look forward to seeing you in the majority very, very soon so that we can hold the Trump administration accountable for everything that they've done.
From your lips to God's ears. And I actually know that. I hear the songs of my ancestors, we shall overcome. And I really do believe that. I just really believe it. So thank you all tonight. God bless you. Stay strong. Stay safe.
Great.
Thank you.
Take care, Senator. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Senator Booker, for joining us tonight. Before we get to the next panel, I just want to make sure that people are donating. Give to use the QR code in the bottom left-hand corner. 3 amazing organizations on the ground in Minneapolis doing the work to help immigrant communities and people in need. All of the dollars that you give are going to go directly to them. No one in this is getting any of this. It's going directly to the organizations. So please click on that QR code, use your phone, use the camera. It'll pop up the link. You hit it. You can go make your donation. These donations are critical to make sure people who are literally afraid to get out of their homes, get them diapers, get them food, get them supplies, get them things that they need. This is a really important thing right now, folks, and we need to stand with our brothers and sisters in Minneapolis right now. And with that, we're going to move to our third panel. This is another great one with a lot of folks that you probably know, and I got to put my glasses on so I can actually read this. But we have 4 people joining us for this next panel. The first one is Michigan State Senator Mallerie hold on a second. Let me get the names all right before I screw this up, everybody. Mallerie McMorrow. Sorry, I knew that. And I actually talked to one of our people earlier tonight. Mallerie McMorrow, who's also running for the Senate in Michigan, is with us in this next panel. And then we also have The Soy Pill, who is a political content creator and YouTuber known for his satirical and incisive commentary on contemporary socio-political issues. The Soy Pill has more than 180,000 subscribers and has garnered 14 million views on his content. We also have Mr. Beat with us tonight, not Mr. Beast, but Mr. Beat is also a YouTuber, musician, and former studies teacher known for videos discussing history, geography, economics, and politics. And finally, we have Ryan Getty, who is a fast-growing YouTube essayist creating well-researched deep dives into history, politics, philosophy, and culture. I will let you guys take it from here.
Right. I'll get us started. Yeah, we're going. Hello, everyone. We are here with a very special person, very special people here. Mallerie McMorrow is our special guest, who's we're going to be asking questions, but Oh, you're and then we got the soy pill and Ryan Getty, as well as myself, Mr. Beat. Um, but I believe the soy pill is going to ask the first question for Mallory.
Well, real
If,
quick, can you guys hear me? Because my entire screen is frozen. So if you can hear me, that's cool. But I can't
Well,
see
we can hear
anyone.
you.
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. I guess I'll just ask the first question. Happy to be here. Basically, we're seeing a lot of corruption, fraud, executive power grabs, not just in Minneapolis, but just kind of all over the country. And people, maybe you heard in the previous panels, people are angry. People want justice. And I want to know, if you're in the Senate and you're running, can you run on a platform of almost like vindication and revenge and lawfare, as some people might perceive it, without being perceived as this like revenge candidate? How are we going to hold the administration accountable for all of these mishaps and crimes, without saying, oh, now every candidate is always going to be prosecuting the next administration and the next administration? But it seems like it's going to be a downward spiral into just division, if we don't handle that correctly.
You got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We have a country here, and I've been now in our state legislature for going on the last 8 years running for U.S. Senate. There are a lot of people who are just pissed off at everybody. Doesn't matter, Democrats, Republicans. They just do not believe that the system works for them at all. And what you see in Minnesota is a perfect example of that. So for me, I'm running as somebody who graduated from college right into the recession. I wanted to be a car designer, and I got my degree in 2008. So I had no job, no health insurance, no job opportunities, nowhere to live. So there has to be a vision that you lay out that people can see themselves in, so that they can imagine a future after this administration. And at the same time, I think too many of us have made the mistake of thinking that the founding documents are going to protect us without us taking action. So for me as a senator, I want to look at every norm and rule that this administration has violated and codify them into law. Norms are not laws, and there are no consequences when you violate them, and that has to stop. So we prevent something like this from ever happening again. There needs to be oversight. There needs to be accountability. We are seeing American citizens get shot in the street by federal agents. It is heartbreaking. It's wrong, and you have to do both. The way that we make people feel like they want to participate is you tell a story of a future that you are fighting for, but you have to lay out the steps to get there, and that starts with holding this administration accountable for everything that they've done to violate the Constitution and the rule of law in the first place.
If you don't mind,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
No, I was just curious, Senator McMorrow. I'm curious, what are an example of one of those norms that you'd like to see codified into law?
So I was the person at the DNC in Chicago who carried out the big ass copy of Project 2025 and slammed it on a podium. Thank God I did not throw up or fall down in front of 20 million people across the country. But what I talked about in that speech was systematically going through state departments and firing lifelong civil servants and replacing them with loyalists. Now, that's not illegal, but it sets up this reality where rather than having people like Trump 1.0, where he had people in his cabinet, in his administration who knew when he was crossing the line and would check him, now you have an administration full of yes men. So that is just one example of making sure that if you are a civil servant, you're a civil servant. It doesn't matter what letter is behind your name. You've dedicated your career to NOAA, to understanding the weather, or to even immigration enforcement, that is your job. That's just one example, because if we don't do that, then soy pill, to your exact point, we get to a place where it's just retribution after retribution. You're replacing all of these departments with your people, and that is a huge disservice to Americans. We've forgotten who we serve.
And just a quick clarification, because I really like the answer of we need to establish new codified ways to say you can't violate these norms. So that prevents it happening again. But is there a way to prevent or hold the administration accountable for what they've already done that's a violation of things that are law? When we ignore judges, when we make ICE a arm of the executive where it's not even doing things that have anything to do with immigration, but rather like a previous example, terrorizing aid stations or try to get voter rolls. Is there a way to hold those people accountable without seeming vindictive, without causing that pendulum swing?
Yeah, one of the things that this administration is really good at is convincing all of us that we are powerless. It is this endless onslaught. It is a fire hose of horrible news. I mean, the way that they use social media content is just to piss you off. Watching some of the content that comes out of the official White House Instagram account churns my stomach. They're carrying out these immigration raids. I remember the video in Chicago when there were kids being dragged out in zip ties, when they are going into preschools to carry out preschool teachers. It's all to kind of just spark rage in you. But even though Republicans control the White House, the Congress, and the Senate, it is by very, very narrow majorities. And at the end of the day, the people sitting in those seats who are elected, they want to win their next election. And what we've seen already is that there are Republicans who feel very uncomfortable with ICE's activity, not only in Minnesota, but across the country. They realize that they are losing on this issue. So what we can do right now to hold them accountable is exactly what we are seeing in our communities every day. It is going out to protests. It is finding people who agree with you. It is contacting your elected officials. And what I've learned as somebody who Googled how to run for office after the 2016 election and then became an elected official after a very different career, those phone calls and those letters and those stories matter. So I know a lot of people use the 5 Calls app. That's a great way to start. If you've never contacted an elected official before, it will give you a script. It will tell you who to call. But what's even more powerful than that is just call and share personally. How does this affect you? If you are a mom who is afraid to send your kid to school because your skin isn't exactly the right color, tell that story. Tell that to the person who is in charge, because we just need a few Republicans right now to vote with Democrats, to put restrictions on, to cut funding, and to actually push back on this administration, and then get involved in elections. Find a campaign and a candidate that you like, volunteer to knock doors, to make phone calls, to send text messages. The beauty of democracy, when it works well, is that it is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we better damn well never forget that, because this administration would have you believe Donald Trump is the only one who can fix it, and he's doing it for you. And we are winning right now. It may not feel like it, but we are. And you just got to keep going.
All right, thank you. Ryan, you wanted to ask your question topic?
Yeah, in the 2022 in 2022, you gave a speech that got on a lot of people's radar, brought you to a lot of people's attention. You talked about how your faith influences your politics, among other things. There's a lot of people on the right who use the language of religious faith in a way that I imagine you quite disagree with. Vice President Vance, for instance, has made news invoking his faith to defend the Trump administration's immigration policy. I wonder if you could tell us a little about how you're thinking about the role that faith plays in this political moment, how your faith plays with this political moment.
Yeah, look, it was when I ran for office for the first time, you fill out a lot of these candidate questionnaires, and it will just have a list of things that they want to know: your name, your age, your spouse, and your religion. And for a while, I left that line blank because my faith didn't fit neatly into a line. I am somebody who was raised Catholic and has very complicated feelings about the Catholic Church. That I left the church. My mom taught CCD, but we had a priest who didn't uphold the teachings of the church. Then I went to Notre Dame. I found that I really loved the aspects of Catholicism and faith that had to do with service and looking out for those who had less, and the idea that faith without works is dead. I'm also married to a Jewish man, and that does not fit neatly on a line. So I didn't talk about it for a long time. And then I watched the rise of groups like Moms for Liberty, and exactly what you're saying, people who are weaponizing my faith Christianity as a cudgel to hurt people, as if somehow they have the moral high ground because they have the nerve to write Christian in their Twitter bio and wear an obnoxiously sized cross around their neck while they are hurting people. My faith teaches me to look out for immigrants and to look out for those who have less. Something that has been really stunning in this moment is watching, a priest who was on one of the protest lines get hit with a pepper ball in the head. Our faith leaders are standing on the front lines right now. And I think for those who do have that in your upbringing or your background, people are really hungry for a different way to express what faith is. And faith and politics are usually at odds with each other. If you want to make friends, don't talk about faith or politics. And I guess I have chosen to do both for some reason in my life. But we need it right now. We need to see examples of faith leaders and people of faith stepping out and saying, my faith teaches me that it is my responsibility to use my blessings to be of service to others, not to demonize or marginalize or hurt them in a counter to this bastardization of faith that we see from a lot of people on the far right.
Thanks, Matt. I know you've got a great question.
I got a couple, but yeah, 2026 does seem like one of the few years in American history in which we have, like, if you're an outsider, you have a better chance of getting elected. I consider you an outsider. Like you said yourself, you're not someone who ever envisioned yourself getting into politics. You like Googled how to run for office in 2016. That's pretty cool. So that said, it seems like this is a very populist time. And I think one of the rare examples we see of unity with Republicans and Democrats is the Epstein files. I know there's some that are refusing to cross the line who are in the cult of Trump, but regardless, there's clearly a lack of action right now being seen after the Epstein files release. We're seeing action in other countries, but not here. So if you were in the Senate right now, the U.S. Senate, not the Michigan Senate, what would you do about all these revelations coming out in the Epstein files?
Look, there is a lot of power in the public pulpit. And I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to meet one of the Epstein survivors. And them coming forward and telling their stories is so powerful and raw and moving. And if it were up to me, Democrats are in the minority right now, so may not be able to call a committee meeting in Washington. But today, we're on Discord and podcasts and YouTube right now. Take your message out to people. Relentlessly be sharing the stories of what we're seeing in these files, because I can tell you it feels like a lot of people in this administration and in power are hoping that they've dumped this trove of documents on us and that it is going to be, again, so overwhelming that people can't parse through it and they move on to the next thing. They're going to say, this is a distraction. We are not talking about affordability. We are not talking about jobs. This is not what people want to hear. We just need to brush it aside. And what's true about the Epstein files is that either one of two things are true. Either this administration knew what was involved and intentionally hid it from us, or they flat out lied when they trotted out all the binders onto the front lawn of the White House and said, we have the Epstein files and we're going to release them. Either way, it's your government lying to you. And it shows that there are two systems of justice, one for the rich and powerful, and there are a lot of rich and powerful people who are named in these emails, and one for everybody else. And we are never going to restore faith in our institutions without pursuing justice. And I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're a Democrat. If you are in those documents, you need to be held accountable. There were thousands of girls, children. And if you hear me getting a little emotional, my daughter just turned 5. And I'm reading some of these emails that mention 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old girls. And I'm sick to my stomach. So if you're not in power, You use social media, you hold your own press conferences, you invite survivors to tell their own stories about what it means, and you keep talking about it over and over and over because you're right, there are Republicans who have come to the table who said this is wrong. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, saying nothing about this is making America great again. It's not America first, it is covering up for the rich and powerful at the expense of vulnerable girls, and we won't stand for it.
It's a bit symbolic too. I think it's this one underlying theme of all of our questions for you tonight. I think has been there just hasn't been transparency. There's no trust. Ordinary folks do not trust the federal government in particular, and so I kind of have a little follow up there. One of my big reforms this year is I've been contacting my congressman every single day. So this is day 35. And I've been trying to get him to give me one reason why he currently doesn't support uncapping the House, which means expanding the House of Representatives. There's currently 435, and that number has been static since 1929, despite the population more than tripling since then. And so the reason why I asked this, it's related, I promise you. One reason I firmly believe there is this lack of trust between citizens and the federal government is because, well, frankly, the federal government has no members of Congress have no incentive to listen to their constituents. They have incentives to listen to their donors, and I'm sure you're speaking with donors on your quite a bit right now. You kind of have to. It's the freaking game. Expanding the House, though, is this something you've even thought about? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I now serve in the Michigan State Senate, where I represent about 260,000 people. It's a big district,
That many?
and
That
that
many?
many people, that many people. And as many events as we do, it's hard to see everybody. And I think it is really important to be able to meet the people you represent face to face. And I would be open to it, because the House is supposed to be the people's house. You've got two chambers. You have the House and you have the Senate. And it's not just that. There are comprehensive reforms that need to take place. You're exactly right. I have to talk to a lot of donors right now because in a state like Michigan with an open Senate seat, I'm going to have to raise at least $60 million to be competitive. It is a disgusting amount of money that keeps a lot of really good people who would make incredible elected officials away from even thinking about running for office. And I've made the decision not to take any corporate PAC dollars on the campaign. That makes it a lot harder. That means you're probably going to see a lot of Instagram ads with me. Currently, one that people see is I'm running out of the woods saying, stop scrolling. Please pay attention for 2 seconds. But we have to overturn Citizens United. We have to get dark money out of politics. We have to ban congressional stock trading so that when you go to Washington, you don't have access to information and become a multimillionaire before anybody else does. We need to ensure that there are primaries. I'm in a Democratic primary right now, and I know that that makes some people uncomfortable. Why doesn't the party just decide? Well, when the party decides and puts their finger on the scales, people don't trust the outcome if we've learned nothing. So I think yours is a great idea. I think we have to explore a lot of ideas to, frankly, as we think about the next generation of elected officials in Washington, people who are not so wed to the institution the way that it always was, and instead recognizing that this administration is tearing the institutions down to the studs. That gives us an opportunity to build new institutions that actually live up to the promise of our country and of representation and help to restore people's faith in their elected leaders and that this system actually serves them.
Awesome. I have to start officially endorsing candidates if they support uncapping the House, by the way. So, Bill, you got anything else?
Well, I was just going to say,
Brian?
if we if we can track the stocks in real time, then we can all become millionaires, and then we can all run for Senate. That would actually 2 birds, 1 stone sort of situation. I think that was all the questions on the docket. Are we good on time, Jay?
Reminder: this is
Yeah,
a
the vote.
fundraiser.
You,
For the
you
folks
can-
in the-
if you guys want to go for a few more minutes, I think you can.
Well, yeah.
You've got 5 minutes.
Oh,
Okay,
perfect.
real quick
Are
before we forget,
there-
because we'll
Rapid fire.
push it. Well, I just want to say, yeah, it is a fundraiser. So to everyone listening, please go look at the institutions that are supported, help out the people in Minnesota.
And
A lot of
just
stuff happening
can we
on the
just
ground right now.
can we take a moment just to acknowledge? I mean, you asked about what can people do right now. The people of Minnesota are standing in the breach in the frigid cold weather. I'm in Michigan right now. It has not been above 30 degrees for the last 3 weeks. It is that much colder in Minnesota. Um, it would be a lot easier to stay home. And we see moms and aunts and uncles. I have seen videos of Minnesotans who have never protested before, who are coming out because they are so pissed off about what's happening. That is really powerful. And you've seen this administration start to pull back because they see that when people stand up and use their voices, it matters and their actions have gone too far. So yes, please donate and support the people on the ground who are doing that work, who need that support, because they are the best of us. That is America, and that is democracy, is not being afraid to stand in the face when your own government has gone too far.
Well,
Absolutely.
Soy, I know you were about to get into a question there.
I was. Maybe
Oh,
you
I
can read
thought
my
you were.
mind.
I'm curious. I'm curious if you have trust in government is something that I talk about a lot on my channel. I think it's one of the biggest problems that we have as a society is we have a situation where a lot of people do not have trust in the government. I wonder, Matt obviously talked about expanding the House of Representatives. Are there other things that you think that you would be able to do in the Senate that would help to restore people's trust in government? Beyond
The filibuster. End the filibuster.
And the
beyond the politics.
filibuster. Yes.
Yeah.
No, but beyond that,
Silent filibuster.
so look, we now live in a time where, it's not Walter Cronkite anymore. It's not like everybody is watching the same news and they get the same facts and the same information. They go to bed. We now live in an area where everybody has different news sources, different media outlets. And I think that that is both a terrible thing and a good thing. I mean, the fact that we can all come together and just broadcast this out to whoever is watching, I think is a wonderful thing. What I would want to do in the Senate is bring some of that communication into my work. So when I ran for office for the very first time, I ran against my Republican state senator. He had won by 16 points the cycle before. I beat him by 4. So we swung a district 20 points in a single cycle, which meant I represented a lot of people who did not vote for me and probably did not like me very much. And we made it a point in all of our mailers, in my email, on my social media. I did a weekly live stream to explain, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm voting on, here is the input and feedback that I've gotten, here's why I voted and why. And the best feedback that I would get from constituents, especially people who didn't vote for me, was people who would say, I don't agree with you on much, but I trust you because you explain what you're doing and why and your rationale, and it makes sense. And I just feel like a lot of that is missing on the federal level right now. I had a very unique career before running for office. I started as a car designer, and then I was a senior designer at Hot Wheels. So there's a Hot Wheels car that has my name on it. Then I was the advertising creative director for Gawker Media. So I learned, how to write on the internet and write about anything, no matter how complicated, just like you would talk to your friend at a bar. Then I was a creative director for a production company that did documentary films and live events and Super Bowl commercials. Storytelling and communication matters, and you got to trust the people you represent to want to know what's going on. Don't talk down to them. Talk about what's happening every single day. On my Instagram, after the 2024 election, I started doing a series of Ask Me Anything, where you could type in a question, you could ask me whatever you wanted. And people asked, what's the difference between a bill and a resolution? What is going on? This is a very Michigan thing with the 8 bills that the Speaker of the House hasn't sent to the governor's desk. People ask, how do you balance being a mom and an elected official? And I would just take time. I've answered more than 300 of these questions so that people get to know me. And I wish more of our federal officials did that, so that you're not letting Fox News or MSNBC or MS Now or whatever it is now kind of dictate where it is. talk directly with people. We have all the tools in the world to do that. And I think taking advantage of all of those tools that we have would help people feel like you can build up a relationship with your elected official. And even if you don't agree with them all the time, because you're never going to agree with somebody 100% of the time, that you trust they are trying to make the best decision for the most.
Oh,
Did we lose her?
did we lose? Did we lose?
Froze.
Oh, we came back.
Oh,
It
you're
froze
back.
there.
You're back.
We're back.
That's all right. First
Yeah, I think,
priority after eliminating the filibuster.
Expanding a program called RX Kids nationwide. I'm really proud of this one. I don't do any of you guys have kids? Sorry, I didn't even ask.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yes. Okay, so RX Kids is a program that we piloted here in Michigan. It was created by Dr. Mona Hanna. She was the whistleblower of the Flint water crisis. It is a cash grant program for new moms and babies, $1,500 while the woman is pregnant, $500 a month for the first 6 months to up to a year of the baby's life. In Flint, in the pilot, we saw a steep reduction in evictions, reduction of postpartum depression, significantly better mental health outcomes, almost an elimination of babies being born and ending up in the NICU, healthier birth weights, healthier development. And it's just an amazing program that we've now rolled out statewide. And I think with everything being so expensive right now and nobody is prepared for how expensive it is when you start your family, that's something that I want to take nationally.
Heck yeah. It's like
Wait,
UBI.
can I ask
but
one
for
last?
new
Don't
moms.
forget to donate, folks. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, don't forget to donate. One last question. This is super serious. If elected senator, will you build a Hot Wheels loop-de-loop racetrack on Mitch McConnell's desk so he's distracted and stops blocking bills?
Yes. Also, I have the background to do this. I helped when I was at Mattel. We built a 6-story tall Hot Wheels loop that we actually had live at the X Games in downtown Los Angeles. We sent 2 race car drivers through them and nobody died. So I can do this and we need to bring it to DC.
That would put Mitch catatonic. That's awesome.
Well, I don't even know how to follow up on that, but thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. And Mallory, I think if you become the next senator, you're probably the only one that has a Hot Wheels car named after you. So you know that's
so.
that's a badge of honor for sure. So
Story.
thank you, everybody. Thank you again to all of you listening as well. Please make sure you hit that donate button. Use your phone for the QR code. Make sure that you give money. These groups on the ground that are doing this work, it's absolutely essential work that needs to be done. All of the dollars go to them. Nobody here is getting anything. It's directly to them. They're helping people who are afraid to go out of their homes, make sure that they have formula, diapers, food, all of these things. It's really, really important. So, and I just thank everybody here for joining and giving us a little of their time tonight. So, and I think with that, we're going to go to our next panel. We might need a minute, which I guess I'm going to, I think filibuster is probably a good term since we have a Senate candidate here to talk about, see if I can actually do it myself. But, you know, I think actually while we're waiting, I guess, while we're doing this, maybe we should just ask, where can people, so Mallory, for you in example, like where can people find you? Obviously all over the internet, but if
All
people
over
need
the internet, I am at Mallerie McMorrow on all of the social media platforms, or you can learn more, volunteer, or join our campaign after and only after you donate to the groups doing the work on the ground that this fundraiser is for at McMorrowforMichigan.com.
Love
But
it.
if you
All
have a
right, we're gonna
spare
go around the
$60
room.
million,
Oh, sorry, what was that? Sorry.
I said, well, if you have a spare $60 million lying around the house, she's in need. So
Tell your
Pocket
friends.
change.
I like it. I like it. Well, I don't really, but you know, yes. Hopefully, someday we won't have to raise all that money, and we can actually have fair finance, election finance for us. But so where can people find you?
I'm the Soy Pill on YouTube and other platforms, but mostly YouTube.
Okay, Mr. Beat.
Just search Mr. Beat. Mr. Beast will show up, but just keep scrolling down and then you'll find me.
I was going to say, how
Hashtag-
often do you hear that?
Way too much, but that's
Yeah.
okay because it helps me. But hashtag Project No Cap for Uncap the House.
I love it. I love it, and I'm with you on that too. I think not to get into it too much, but I think what is it like? People are representing twice as many or 3 times as many as it used to be, like decades ago or something like that.
Yeah, in the beginning, in 1789, it was 1 rep for every 30,000 constituents, and now it's 1 rep for every 760,000 constituents. So,
Oh my God,
yeah.
that is insane. Yeah, I'm with you, Ryan. Where can people find you?
I'm Ryan Getty. I'm on YouTube, That's basically it. If you RYANGEDDIE. Definitely, while I have the floor, please take a look at that link to go donate. Don't send me any money. Go donate to charities. You can scan that QR code, makes it really easy. Or if you're in my chat, I have it pinned to the top of the chat. There's a link up there to the link tree. So definitely check that out. The people in Minnesota and Minneapolis are an example to everyone right now. And the next time you see a protest in your area and you think it's too hot, it's too cold, not as cold as it is in Minneapolis. So thank you so much.
Okay. Well, with that, I think the next panel is ready. So thank you again, all of you. We really appreciate you taking the time. We know you're all super busy. So thank you very much for all of this. And hopefully we'll get to connect again sometime soon. So with that, we're going to go to our final panel. And it's certainly it's last but not least. Let's see if I can get this right. We have with us, first I'm going to do actually my friend, Elizabeth Booker Houston, is a lawyer, public health professional, stand-up comedian, and political commentator who has over 1 million followers across social media platforms. She performs stand-up comedy in Washington, D.C., where she integrates legal insight into political satire. That is not something that is very easy to do. And that because I know her, I know she does it very, very well. And we also are very, very fortunate to have with us, I believe, coming here in a minute, will be Congressman Ted Lieu, which if you are on any social media platform, you know the congressman. He was one of the first people that dove right into Twitter. I think he's got 1.4 million followers, which makes me very jealous. And has been a fighter for working people, middle-class families for a long time, holding Donald Trump accountable. Congressman, it's great to have you. Elizabeth, always a pleasure. I'm going to let you guys take it from here. As long as we could turn your videos on. Congressman's good. You're good too. All right. You guys take it from here.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much. Very glad to be here. Very glad to support Minnesota. Very glad to be here with Congressman Ted Lieu. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Honored to be here with you, Liz.
Thank you. I appreciate so much to have this conversation with you. Also, just want to shout out all the folks in Minnesota right now. A lot of folks know I was just there last week in Minneapolis doing a live town hall with Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, Angela Rye, Bakari Sellers, Andrew Gillum brought us all out. I was also there with Georgia Fort, who I will bring up in a little bit of our conversation later as we're talking about the way that folks have been attacked for speaking out. But before we get into that, I just want to go ahead and level set for a moment and start off, Congressman, asking you, what is your general feeling and just your thoughts right now when it comes to ICE and what's going on here in the U.S.?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Liz, for doing this, and for everyone for participating. Last month, I went to Minneapolis, St. Paul, met with nonprofit groups, with folks who were impacted by the raids, with local and state law enforcement, and then we did a Democratic field hearing. And I remember thinking I was simultaneously horrified and inspired. We heard horrific stories of abuse and lawlessness, and then amazingly inspirational stories of Minnesotans helping each other, Minnesotans pushing back